Welcome to Rondell Designs YouTube channel. I'm so glad you're here. Today is a DIY art journal page featuring lots of lovely paper collage work. So first step is to get the background main sheet. Now I'm doing a main background sheet because I'm actually going over a mistake in my art journal that I did the other day. So great way to cover it up, just grab some paper. And I've actually inked the edges. This gives a really nice finish to paper when you're doing collage work. You can do to give it a vintage look, you can use darker colours like brown and black. I'm using green. This page is actually part of a craft challenge with one of my friends' groups on Facebook, and the theme is monochromatic, so it needs to pretty much all be the one colour. Then as you can see, I'm just gluing this page down. I've only got a glue stick at home, and this is where I made this instead of my studio space. So the good old glue stick was it. Now, I've just really gotten a group of scrap papers. That kind of looks blue, that piece there. It is, promise you, it's a bit more of an aqua colour. So I just collected up my scrap papers that I have in my big tub, which if you've done any of my courses, you'll know that I keep all my pattern papers and old packaging in a big box so that when I'm working on a project, I just go through before I start and pick out the patterns or the colours that resonate with me and I think I might use in the project. Often I'll only end up using about half of the patterns I've picked out, but it's good to have some options. Now here I'm doing some stamping, and as you can see I'm just using some clear acrylic stamps. I have a big collection of clear stamps, and basically they just come in a sheet and then you can swap and change what one you're using on the solid block, so it's really good for saving space. Now here I'm just sort of stamping the designs out onto a few pieces of paper, and I'm thinking what I will do is then cut out around the shape. So I'm just making my own kind of little embellishment. At this stage I really don't have a clear idea of what's going to happen on this page. So as you can see, I'm just kind of playing around with some ideas, and that's the best thing you can do, is just sort of play around, put some things down, put your paper down in different positions and just see how you feel about it. And then I'm just sort of gluing once I've decided where, if I'm really happy with a particular piece, I'll glue it down and then keep working from there, do a little sort of puzzle piecing to make sure it's looking good. With paper collage, I love just to do a few little bits and pieces, different shapes, here and there, because it might not look great at the moment, but when you do lots of little additions and layers, it looks really cool. Now here I've got a rubber stamp. This is a Stampin' Up stamp that I got years ago, and it's a cute little strawberry. You'll notice I bring the little stamp pad to the stamp with this rather than putting the stamp on the ink. It's just easier when you've got a nice little stamp pad. Now I just went ahead and did that. I did I think 6 there. I've got little strawberries, but I think it's too much. So I'm very big on jumping in, going with my intuition when I'm creating. And then if I don't like it, I literally just go over it with paper to cover it up. It's the way I make my mixed media art. It's the way I work with Paper Collage journal pages. So that way it keeps me from being afraid to move forward with a project. A lot of people will be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't like the look, and get stuck and get blocked. Whereas I just go ahead and do it. I'll just put stuff down knowing that if I don't like it, I can go over it with paint or paper. Now, as you can see, I'm loving this little sort of tree stamp, so I've used that quite a bit, and I thought the strawberries were too much, so I went ahead and covered some of them up in the bottom, and I like that much more. It's kind of looking like a bit of a scenery now. And that's at that point now where I decided to make this a typography journal page. I love typography. I love little affirmations and quotes, so I'll often include them into my artwork. Then I sometimes sell them as actual art prints, or I upload them to my printables Etsy shop. I've got 2 Etsy shops. One of them's an instant download only, so it's just digital versions which people can then purchase and download from there. Okay, so now what I really like to do, just to mix it up when I'm working with words and letters, is to do a few different styles and shapes. So often I'll do the cutout letters for one word, but then the next word like this I do on a block. And I'm not too concerned about getting the look of the type perfect. As you can see here, I just go over it a few times with my fine liner and create the shape of the letters from there. So I kind of build it up. I don't have to have it perfect from the start. And again, I've inked around the edges of this paper block just to give it a nice finished look. I've used both my olive green and the turquoise that I've got. And then that one's ready for gluing down. But as you'll see, I actually wait till I've cut out all of my letters and words before I worry about gluing. Now with the next word, you'll notice that I actually cut out the little pieces of paper so they were nice and even. That's so I know I'm going to get the shape and size of the letters all nice and the same. Now here also, how I've folded over the B to get the middle part, and you'll see that I did the same with the D and the O. Normally, if I had a glass cutting mat, or it's actually a glass chopping board with my little scalpel, I would have just cut them out flat. But because I didn't have that with me when I've done this, that's another way to do it, is just sort of fold the letters over gently without putting too much of a crease line and do it that way. That's just a little tip. But the best way to cut out paper, honestly, forget your cutting mat, because it actually hurts your arms so much after a while when you use that. The glass chopping boards that you can get from any homeware store, even the little cheapy shops, that with your scalpel is so much easier to cut out and you get a really nice finish. So I'll do that in some future videos when I've got my scalpel handy and my glass cutting mat. Now here I have used some old book pages to cut out some cute little love hearts. Now, although they were not green to begin with, which means they don't fit in with the theme of this project, which is to keep it monochromatic, I'm going to ink the other hearts like I've done that first one, just to give it a bit of a green tinge, and that makes it sit in line with the rest of the page. And as you can see, I've literally just popped them on a scrap piece of paper and dabbing directly with the ink pad itself. If you wanted a smoother finish, you could use one of the the little inker tools. I can't even remember what they're called, to transfer from the ink pad onto your piece of paper, or as an alternative, you could even use a cotton ball to transfer it. And then I'm just finishing this off with a little bit of that turquoise ink around the edges as well. As you can tell, I like to do the edges with the ink because it just sort of gives it more definition and stops it from sort of fading into the background. I do the two outside hearts first so that I can make the inside ones nice and evenly spaced. And that is that done. So I'm kind of loving this look. It sort of looks like a hill in the background, and then these little love hearts as a little extra. And now, because I'm finished my words and the letters, I'm happy with where they are sitting. So I'm just gluing them down. Again, I just get a little scrap piece of paper, turn them upside down and glue them down and place them gently where they go. And then with the best, I start with the T because, again, it's all about the spacing. So I want to make sure it's nicely spaced, because if I had started with the B, I might have run out of room down the other end. Now I'm just putting some finishing touches to this page. I still feel it's a little bit empty, so I've cut out a love heart from the book pages, given it some stamping over the top, which, that is such a great way to create your own little embellishments. Just some paper, whether it's from a book or whether it's just a pattern piece of paper or some old packaging that you've got. You can literally just put some inking on there and it gives it a whole new look. So I'm really happy with that. It was I felt like it was a bit busy though, because I did do that same stamping underneath directly onto the page, and then I've got it on the love heart too. So I just cut that little bit of green paper out just to kind of break it up just a little bit, because it's just sometimes if there's too much busyness on top of busyness on top of busyness, it can just be too hard for the eye to focus, and it makes it look messy, which that's not what we want. We don't want a messy look. And even up here with the little stamped on flowers that I put originally, I feel like I need to break that up a little bit. So I'm putting this solid little heart in there, and that way I've still got those the patterns from those little flower stamps coming through, but it's less busy. And then just for balance, I thought I needed to ink over that other side. So now, guys, I'm finished with my paper collage. And just to finish this off, I mean, you could have stopped there. Like it looked quite finished there, but I really love that doodly effect, that I just love line drawing. So for me, a lot of my work will incorporate paper collage and paint or inking, stamping, along with some line work. So I've done some little edges, almost like a stitched edge on the do, and then on the best I've just done some dotting all around the edges. Now you'll notice I actually missed the inside of that bee, which I only realized after I completely finished. So I went back and fixed that up after this project is finished. And then I'm just kind of going with my intuition, like where do I feel like it needs some extra detail. Now, I literally, like I've said before, I just go ahead and do it because I know if I make a mistake, I can always cover it up with something. So I just do lots of little doodling. The white pen that I'm using here is the Uniball Signo pen, which is the best white marker or white pen I've ever used in my life. I used to use this pen so much when I was a mad scrapbooker years and years ago, and I had an online scrapbooking shop, and it was probably my biggest seller. And I've actually literally just started stocking this pen in my website because I love it so much. So it's rondeldesigns.com. If you're in Australia, I do free shipping. And I think I've got the pen for they're about $5 each, but I tell you what, they are so good. And it's the thick one. It's not the thin one. I find the thick one's the best. Like it's got lots of ink, so it's pretty long lasting. Now I'm just going around and doing a bit of doodling all over the place because I want that balance. I want the balance when you look at the page, there's no part of it that sort of looks empty or looks left out. So you'll see I've got that white detail now. Top, bottom, left, right, and it's just sort of playing around, finishing it. Again, like I've said, I like my pages to be quite busy and detailed. You could stop at any point in time. You wouldn't have to go into this much detail if you don't want, but I just feel like it's a really cute way to finish it. And then I'm just doing some little love heart plants, some little swirls, some dots. I really just mix it up with that. Like with my line work, I mix it up with hearts, I mixed it up with lines and swirls and dots and dashes. That's and on the left where I've done the little what's the word, little semicircles. And that's just how I do it. That's all I do. It's just repeating the same line work over and over again, which just gives you that really nice finish.
Thanks so much for watching my tutorial today. Now I have uploaded that exact art journal page as a printable art print on my Etsy shop, Rondell Printable. So that's my digital download Etsy shop, not my main physical product Etsy shop. You'll find the link in description, and also my website if you're in Australia and you wanted to get one of those beautiful white Signo pens. Also, if you liked this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, and I would love for you to subscribe to my channel as I've got lots more DIYs and tutorials coming your way. And if there's anything you'd love to see or learn, let me know in the comments. Thanks, guys.